to strike the count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Scott Geirman. Scott, I'm borderline getting, this was a snoozer, but a good snoozer. 9-1, the Dodgers win easily over the Diamondbacks tonight.
Yeah, no, we always talk about how I've said before, like I'd like an exciting game, but I'll take this too. 9-1, didn't have to sweat much, got on Merrill Kelly really early. And then that stat they dropped really early on that he's, has 15 starts against the Dodgers and he's 0-10. And something about it just felt like he wasn't going to get it.
Crazy stuff. Again, the Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 9-1. They are now 23-4 in the month of August. An absolutely ridiculous stretch that they are on. Joe Davis had a stat on the broadcast I didn't fully get, but it was like only 5 teams ever have won 23 games in a month. The Dodgers obviously have a couple more games. Somebody on Twitter also pointing out the Dodgers will go undefeated from a series perspective in the month of August. So ridiculous stretch that the Dodgers are on. They get 9 runs tonight, 16 hits. Clayton Kershaw pitches, Mookie Betts homers, Will Smith homers. It was kind of, in many ways, the perfect night for the Dodgers. We're going to break it all down. So thank you to those of you joining us live on YouTube, joining us live on Facebook. Thank you to those of you listening after the fact via podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google. We appreciate you all. We will get to some live question and answer before the night is done as well. But Scott, this one from the Dodgers perspective, I think is all about the offense. 3 runs in the first, 1 run in the second, 2 runs in the third. And like we mentioned, it was 6-0 before this thing even really got going. The Dodgers, an unbelievable performance, but I think it's the offense that's been carrying. They had a stat, 7+ runs in 5 of their last 7 games. They've scored 50 runs. They've got an OPS of about 1,000. Now the world 138 with the super chat. Another win for the good guys. Let's effing go. I mean, the offense to me, Scott, is the storyline tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I was at the game last night, and same type of theme. The middle to bottom half of the order absolutely carries. That makes the job without a doubt. You have 2 guys right at the top, Mookie, Freddie, playing on MVP pace, and then that enough can carry an offense for a bit. But when you're out there getting, I think it's, let me count off, 3, 6, 7, like 11 hits from the bottom part of your lineup, from Peralta down, that's going to just take the load off everything. So Peralta swung a hot bat today, Hayward, Taylor. It was just really great to see them settling in and really finding their rhythm. And Hayward has just looked so good. He's tracking the ball fantastic. He's such a streaky guy, but when he's on, and he seems like every time he barrels, it's a missile. So I'm just, excited about another win. This is a good one. Merrill Kelly's a very quality starter. And it's just, here we go, guys. What is it? It's another gritty win. Just battle it out, flex your muscles a little bit. And Clayton Kershaw gets his 12th win of the year. He's just been, a dynamo, didn't go too deep, but we'll get into it. It's just, they just continue to just make it rain, man.
Yeah, you mentioned. So Merrill Kelly came into this game with a 3rd best ERA in the National League. That was at 2.97. The Dodgers jumped all over him. You mentioned his record against the Dodgers. It didn't get better tonight. 5 innings, 12 hits allowed, 7 earned runs, 3 walks. And how about this? Just 1 strikeout for Merrill Kelly in 5 innings. 15 base runners he allowed in 5 innings, 7 earned runs. This one day after the Dodgers got to Zach Gallen, who had the 5th best record in the National League after yesterday's performance when he gave up 6 runs in 5 1/3. So the Dodgers face basically 2 of the 4 best pitchers in the National League, according to ERA, and get 6 and then 7 runs off of them. The Dodgers offense is ridiculous. And Scott, you make a great point. Mookie does get a home run. He goes 2 for 3. Freddie Freeman, the only guy in the entire lineup who started, who didn't get a hit. Ahmed Rosario and Michael Busch came in and did not get a hit. But then after Freddie Freeman, it was Will Smith 2 hits, Peralta 3 hits, Hayward 3 hits, Taylor 3 hits. And look, we'll be honest here. We'll be fair. Some of those weren't exactly high exit velocity balls. But for the Dodgers offense, I mean, we go back and forth on this team. But, what's the strength? What's the weakness? I think the one consistent thing we've been able to say, pitching, is it good or is it not good? Is the bullpen good or not good? The offense is going to be the calling card for this team. And Scott, you kind of touched on it. I think the bottom of that lineup, it's the Peraltas, it's the Haywards, it's the Outmans, it's the Taylors. Those guys, Max Muncy, even those guys are going to be the ones that I think are the ultimate difference makers, because you and I have no doubts about what Mookie Betts is going to do when the lights are on. We have no doubts about what Freddie Freeman is going to do when the lights are on. It's the rest of the guys that I think are the question. And if Smith can hit, and if Muncy can hit, and Peralta and Hayward and Outman and Taylor, I mean, you look at the lineup tonight, even Rojas, who's been okay of late, which is an upgrade of where he was, all of a sudden you're going 9 deep, 8 deep in a lineup, and not a lot of teams in the National League, let alone Major League Baseball, are going to be able to compete with that.
Yeah, no, it's just you look around the league and there's just maybe, 4 lineups that you look up and down and you're getting consistent production or at least solid quality ABs. That's the most you can ask for with guys that aren't, top of the line, regular contributors. But you look tonight, Dodgers get 13 at hard hit balls. They're barreling it. They're finding it. What you really, I emphasize, and Dave Roberts has done, and the, coaching staff is, instilled in this offense for years, is, at bat quality. And we're really starting to see them stress pitchers, make them work, not give away at bats, swinging early in counts. The only guys that do that are, superstar players, some guys who have high hit tool, the Corey Seagers, guys who are confident swinging early in counts without fail. And it's just their makeup. But this team, you see them going with, 4 or 5 pitch at bats, making a pitcher work, and then finally forcing them into a spot where they can hunt that fastball. They can, track that off speed. And that's a lot of what they're doing right now. And it's just really impressive. Their at bats are not quick. And right now, for me, I'm just enjoying watching each guy kind of come into their own. Even you look down at Miguel Rojas. Sometimes even when he looks lost, he'll find one, go up there, put a good swing, get an RBI. And that's just the fact that we're crediting Miguel Rojas with some offensive tools right now.
Yeah.
How far we've come.
Yeah, and look, with Rojas, it's just be okay. Nobody's expecting Rojas to be a 300 hitter. We'll take 1 for 4 every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So look at you, Dave Roberts Cup over there too. This guy's just supporting the brand.
Dave Roberts, Seager Cup, man.
There you go. I love that. I love that. Is there a guy? I'm curious, Scott, and we're going to get to Kershaw here in a second because he's as much a part of the story as anything here, and I'm going to get to an absolutely insane stat on Clayton Kershaw here. But when you look at this lineup, Muncy, Peralta, Smith, even Hayward, Taylor, Rojas, those are all guys that at various points have struggled. Will Smith, I would say the last couple of weeks has looked a little off. He gets a home run tonight. Muncy, 5 straight games or 7 straight games with an extra base hit for Max Muncy. He goes 1 for 3 with 3 runs scored and a walk tonight. Peralta 3 hits, Hayward 3 hits, Taylor 3 hits. I mean, which of those guys jumped out to you tonight as a guy that maybe stock ticks up a little bit? Obviously, all their stock ticked up, but when you see Peralta 3 for 4, Hayward 3 for 4, Smith with a pair of hits, are those guys you're ready to buy back in on who maybe have had dips in production lately, but you're like, all right, I've seen enough to know that the slump is over with?
Honestly, say the slump is over with. Max Muncy kind of is who he is, but for me, Max Muncy is just such a key piece to the lineup with the consistent power that he has. He's underappreciated. The batting average will always, stick out to you. And that's kind of what sours people on Max Muncy, 3 true outcome guy. But, he's varying what he's doing. He's doing exactly what the Dodgers need him. He's becoming a run producer. He's getting on base. He's finding a way to make it happen. He's such a key guy. And for years, he's done nothing but drive the ball, slug. And with him right in the heart of that order, because he will be there, backing up, right behind JD or wherever he's at. It's just, they'll need Max Muncy. And with his quality of at bat and ability to find a barrel when the time comes, he's such a key part, man. So for him to have another game like this, we love, Jeff, you and I both, we love our platoons with the Dodgers. We love our guys here. So we could talk, all day, the whole entire time we're on this postgame about Peralta, Hayward, Outman. But Max Muncy's a guy who's out there without fail, both sides. He's out there at DH, third base. He's someone that they do need to keep playing. And he really looked like Max Muncy right now. He looked like he's confident up there, not like he's just looking for a walk, that he's feeling healthy. He's feeling confident, and he's a dog. He's not afraid. He'll go up there against team best pitchers and he'll give it everything he's got.
Yeah. And Dontrell pointed it out. That little flick double to left center field is just so that's a locked in move. He recognizes the pitch away and has the time and the sort of wherewithal to just slap that thing to the opposite field, cruise to a double. I love to see it. Looking at some exit velocity, by the way, Will Smith's home run, 108 miles an hour off the bat. That ball was absolutely launched. Home run in all 30 parks for those wondering. Peralta had a pair of hits over 100 miles an hour. Hayward had a pair of hits over 100 miles an hour tonight. Chris Taylor got one over 100 miles an hour. James Outman had one over 100 miles an hour. So a lot of these balls, obviously Mookie Betts home run,
428 on Mookie, right?
What's that?
428 on Mookie.
Yeah. Mookie it looked like he smiled halfway down the line to first base because he was like, holy crap, I caught that one clean. That is about as clean of a home run as you can get.
Let me show this real quick, what I got this week. Let me show this real quick. Look at this.
There you go.
He's like this?
Okay. Like this? It's like a safe in the back.
Little Mookie bank.
I like that. I like that. Mook VP, baby. Let's get to the other side because we haven't talked. It's been 12 minutes and we haven't talked Clayton Kershaw, who was the starter for the Dodgers. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. Look, I'll be the first to say you'll agree it wasn't peak Kershaw. 79 pitches, just 42 of them for strikes. Obviously, he gets more strikes than balls. I think they said he had never thrown more balls than strikes. Early on, it was a mess. He rallies, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. But how about this for a stat, Scott? You look at Clayton Kershaw's game log, his last 6 starts, and obviously there's a small caveat there because he had the 2-inning start in there that got canceled because he got pulled because of the rain. His last 6 starts, he has not allowed more than 1 earned run in any of those starts. He has 4 earned runs in his last 6 starts. Ironically enough, 4 solo home runs were the only things that got him in those. The ERA drops to 2.4 something, I believe, 2.48. For what it's worth, he does not qualify for the ERA title, but that would be the best in the National League if he did qualify. Blake Snell is the best at 2.60, so Kershaw would be 0.12 ahead of him. Look, 5 innings, Kershaw in, you're out, you're up by $1 billion. Who cares? But it's just nice to see Kershaw. Like I said, 4 earned runs in his last 6 starts.
Yeah, without a doubt. A lot of 3-ball counts early. That stressed me out. That frustrated me watching, and you could see, his visible frustration. It was tough to watch him. Had no glove side command, wasn't locating his slider, and really when he started to lock back in, it wasn't the prettiest. But he got it done, got him where they needed to be, buckled down when it happened. And, on the year, he's been fantastic with runners in scoring position. So I know they were 0 for, I think it was dating back to late June. Yeah. So it wasn't pretty. I know he was on a pitch count tonight, like 75 pitches or so. I'm not sure what he had finished up at. You'll have to pull that for me there. I think 79. So, but not a very good strike ball. So, it was not the best, not the worst. It was just,
And yet here we are. He allows 4 hard hit balls, which isn't terrible, and gets a 29% whiff rate. So it's like classic Kershaw where it's like, didn't really have it. Control wasn't necessarily there. And yet all the other stuff ends up working out well. Again, 6 base runners in 5 innings, not awesome, but only 1 earned run, does get 5 strikeouts, 79 pitches against a Diamondbacks team that's fighting for a playoff spot. So this isn't, some scrub team, but unbelievable stuff from Kershaw. And again, I look at that game log and I'm like, holy smokes, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, his last 6. And you could go back. He has not allowed more than 2 earned runs since May for those keeping track. So ridiculous stuff. Obviously, he missed some time in July. So again, a slightly misleading stat there. But, you could go back, 9 starts before his last time allowing more than 2 earned runs.
Wow.
3 of those with shutouts, 4 of those with 1 earned run, and 2 of those with 2 earned runs. So that's a stretch that Clayton Kershaw is on. His ERA has dropped from 3.32 to, like I said, 2.48 after tonight's game. So good stuff from Kershaw there. Let's get to players of the game. 9-1 victory. So this show might not be the longest in the world, but we'll get to players of the game and then answer some questions. I'm sure there's going to be some questions about some guys who got DFA'd today, not just the Angels, by the way, but Josh Donaldson, another big name that hits the market. But we look at this box score, Scott. We've hit on this already. Mookie Betts, 2 for 3, a home run, a walk. He's out of the game. Incredible stuff from Mookie. Will Smith, 2 for 5 with the home run. You've got Peralta, Hayward, and Taylor, who all get 3 hits. Taylor, perfect, 3 for 3 with a walk. You've got Kershaw, 5 innings, 1 earned run. You could even give a shout out to the bullpen. 4 shutout innings from Varlin, Miller, and Gonzalez. Just 3 hits allowed, 4 strikeouts from those guys. So give me the guy at the top of your list. Who's the player of the game tonight for you, Scott?
I'm going to say the birthday boy. Just give him a shout out on, bobblehead night. Just giving you 3 hits. Yeah, bobblehead boy. We'll see if Blake comes up with one of those. yeah, 3 hits, 2 doubles, just a good night for him. Good to see him actually find some barrels, get him rolling because they need all their guys. They do need him in the lineup. He's had postseason success. So, adds a walk in there. He's taken better at bats. And just like I know people are down on Michael Busch right now, but I'm really keying in on quality of at bat lately. And Taylor tonight was big on that. He didn't expand. So I'm going to give him player of the game, birthday, bobblehead, Chris Taylor, man.
Okay, there you go. I've got a tie that I will slightly tie break here. I'm going to go David Peralta as my player of the game. I've got Hayward in the 2 spot. I think those 2 guys are my players of the game. It's because they both have 3 hits. So that's where you sort of get to, well, how do you differentiate? Both guys are 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. I'm going to give Peralta the slight edge, Scott. I think you'll appreciate this. His hardest hit ball was 0.8 miles an hour harder hit than Jason Hayward's hardest hit ball. So we're going to go Peralta there. And he had the first and third hardest hit ball out of the 2. But I just, the reason I'm giving those guys is the 3 hits, but it's that first inning, bottom of the first, 2 outs. Both those guys come up with big hits to keep the rally going, to put runs across. That kind of set the tone early. It looked like the Dodgers were going to get out of that first inning without scoring any runs, but both those guys come up with huge 2-out knocks. So give me them for first and second player of the game. And then I got to go Clayton Kershaw, number 3. You go 5 innings, 1 earned run, ties Don Drysdale for second on the all-time franchise wins record tonight. I've got Kershaw in the 3 spot. So you've got Chris Taylor, number 1. He doesn't even make my podium just because of that's how many guys played well for the Dodgers tonight. But who do you have in the 2nd and 3rd spot, Scott?
I'm gonna say Peralta. I really like that tonight. That was just finding some barrels, man. Just looking confident. When he's playing well, it seems like they come in bunches. Let's hope this is an extended one. But J-Hay too. He's, smooth outfield. He's just one of the smoothest guys out there in the league, man. So he's just same type of thing. Platoon guys, they need to excel. They're in there for a reason. Dodgers, I like how they have those in 2s. Hayward, Peralta, it's just really good back-to-back tandem there. They feed off each other. It's just a really good group. I just can't say enough about it. Yeah, I'm all in. It's just, I could talk all night about it.
Okay, so you got Peralta 2 and Hayward
3. Say
3.
Peralta 2,
right?
Hayward 3. Yeah, but shout out, let's give a honorary to Kershaw. Big milestone for him. Yeah, with that, it's just, we need to appreciate him. We don't know how much longer.
Yeah, we seriously don't know how much longer. I get more and more nervous that this might be the last run, but we don't want to go there yet. I got my champion shirt on, put it on before the game. No worries about jinxes going on over here. Let's get to some questions. If you've got a question, throw that in the all caps questions in the chat. While we do that, let me just give you a quick rundown of the Dodgers 9-1 victory. If you missed it, bottom of the first, I mentioned it. David Peralta, a 2-out RBI double that scores Max Muncy. Jason Hayward, right afterwards, an RBI double of his own, scoring Max Muncy and David Peralta. You had Miguel Rojas with an RBI single up the middle in the 2nd to make it 4-0. David Peralta, another RBI single in the 3rd. Chris Taylor, an RBI double of his own. That makes it 6-0. Corbin Carroll gets one back. I don't know how he backspinned a curveball that was basically below the zone, and he backspins it to dead center. The guy's like 5'10", $170. Incredible stuff from him. Outman, RBI double play ball. I guess that's how it goes down in the bottom of the 5th to make it 7-1. And then you get Mookie Betts and Will Smith with moonshots in the 6th to make it 9-1. That ended up the scoring there. So great stuff from the Dodgers all the way around. Michael's got a question about Gus Varlin. Last I checked, he had a 40% strikeout rate with the club thus far. If he keeps that up and ends the year with at least 20 and 5 innings pitched, I don't know what that means. 20 and a half innings pitched. Does he make the postseason roster? What do you think about Gus Varlin so far, Scott? Have you liked what you've seen? This is a guy who was Rule 5 eligible, draft taken by the Brewers, and then optioned, meaning he gets sent back to the Dodgers. The Dodgers take him, and then later on add him to their own 40-man re-add him to their own 40-man roster. So give me your Gus Varlin thoughts.
He's been okay. Hasn't been spectacular, but I feel like he's just, I feel like Shelby Miller can just slot right into that.
Okay.
I'm pretty okay. Like Gus Varlin's not, if it's comes down to it, I think there's a couple guys ahead of him for me, but 40% K rate. I feel like Shelby Miller kind of did a lot and had a little bit better results than what Gus Varlin has. So it doesn't really move the needle for me. That's just postseason roster spots are tough to come by. Yeah. I just really don't see, I just don't see it for me.
Yeah. I mean, coming into today, 5 games with the Dodgers, a 1.29 ERA. That looks good. 7 innings, 10 strikeouts. Again, hey, this all sounds pretty good. 7 walks, a whip of 1.71. So That's not going to get it done from Gus Varlin again. He was fine tonight. It's hard to take much out of a game like the one that we just saw. He finishes with an inning, 2 hits, and 2 walks. So, I mean, again, the ERA is going to improve, but the whip is actually going to go up. It's probably over 2 now. So he's a nice piece. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be gone. I don't think he's like Tyson Miller. He's going to be DFA'd, but I also wouldn't, guarantee that he's even on the roster a year from now if the 40-man roster crunch comes for him. He's fine, but there you go. So maybe a little more Gus Varlin shade than you were expecting. Let's see some more questions here. Oh, good. We got a food question for you, Scott. Yes or no on boba drinks?
Nope.
Oh, man, I'm way in on boba drinks. Boba.
Not
Just
a fan.
kombucha only for our guy over there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Good question here from Thunderpants. The most important non-starting position player for the Dodgers playoff run. Okay, I thought it said non-starter, but he's saying non-starting position player for the Dodgers run. So let me just do this, Scott, because starting is a relative term when it comes to the Dodgers and all the platoons that they're going to use. So take away the guys that are in there every single day. Freeman, Muncy, I guess Rojas, although I don't think either of us are going to say him. Will
Outman.
Smith, Mookie Betts, Outman. So other than those guys, so you've got Peralta, you've got Hayward, you've got Rosario, you've got Kike, you've got Chris Taylor. Give me the most important Austin Barnes. Excuse me, don't mean to offend the Austin Barnes hive.
Yeah, man.
Who's the most important non-starting position player for the Dodgers?
I'm gonna say David Peralta.
Yeah.
I feel like David Peralta, just something about him. I'm going to say David Peralta. I feel like he's going to have a couple big swings in bunches too in the postseason.
Yeah. That was kind of where I was going to lean.
Him or Chris Taylor for me, both of those two.
I'll zag. I'll go Ahmed Rosario. I just think he hits lefties so well. And the numbers haven't been great for him lately, but if you look underneath the surface, it's because they keep hitting him against righties. So give me Rosario. I mean, honestly, you could say any of these guys. Kike has been great against lefties and righties, and he has big postseason hits for the Dodgers. I was going to say Peralta, Hayward. I mean, honestly, all of these guys, people know I'm a little bit more down on Chris Taylor than most. So he's probably, I'd pick any of those other 4 guys probably ahead of Chris Taylor, but that's another guy with some big hit, postseason experience and some big postseason hits. So lots of options there. Ederico asks, do you guys think Hayward, Peralta, Rojas, and Taylor can keep up the positive momentum they've got going all the way up to October? Their contributions would be big for that title run. We just kind of mentioned some of these guys, Scott. Like, Are you buying that this is something that can be sustained through October for Hayward, Peralta, Rojas, and Taylor?
I mean, you could, baseball, one of them or two will go into kind of a cold spell. We just hope it's not all at the same time. But back to my point about believing Peralta, because his splits aren't like, go take a look at his splits. He's hitting lefties at a wild rate, like not many chances, but I think he has, 10 hits and 23 or 27 at bats. So that's fantastic. So I think that he's capable of playing every day, like in the postseason. If they do that, like, we'll see a guy who's comfortable versus both sides. But to, Ederico's question, this group, like they feed off each other. So I do think that they'll keep positive momentum. If 1 or 2 of them are rolling, that can kind of lessen the blow. Say if Rojas is still doing what he's doing, but them in front, batting in front of Rojas or in front of Taylor, it's creating opportunities. They're able to get on base right now, and that's putting them in more advantageous spots. That just putting the ball in play means so much. That's why right now Rojas has, when he's come up with guys on base, all he's had to do is really get bat on ball and find an RBI, and then that makes him valuable. Then his spot is not looked at as a negative. He's able to get a sacrifice fly, push a runner over, and then he's a plus. So I think that the 2 key guys for Rojas and Taylor, if Taylor does keep batting behind them, which I think he would in those spots, Hayward and Peralta, they need to stay on a positive, because then that's just going to make that the very bottom third of the order that much more dangerous or useful considering what you need.
Yeah, and I think the Dodgers are in a spot where, again, throw Rosario, throw Kike Hernandez, even Outman in the group of the 4 guys you just mentioned. The Dodgers need 3 or 4 of the 7 to figure it out. And if Peralta goes cold, then you can just adjust, and it's going to be Kike in the outfield, or it's going to be, like they don't need all of these guys to maintain the momentum. They just need 3 or 4 of them to figure it out and keep going. So there you go. Michael wants to know why we let Blake lurk in the chat, telling Gritty Scott this isn't show and tell. We offered Blake a spot on the show, and
he declined.
Declined. So
he declined. I mean,
that doesn't sound very gritty to me, Scott.
Not gritty in the slightest from Blake.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to really get on him. That Blake needs to be all in here.
What's the opposite of gritty? Soft?
Blake.
Yeah, fair. Blair. Okay, Scarlet and Blue. Any word on DeLuca? Why is Will Smith getting hit by hitters when catching? Is it him? DeLuca went on a rehab assignment tonight, I believe. So that was a bad rehab assignment for Trinan. I believe he got 1 out and gave up like 3 earned runs, but DeLuca was 2 for 4. So I don't necessarily see a role for DeLuca. Maybe he's a guy that gets called up when rosters expand in a few days, but I just think they've kind of filled all their roster spots with guys. I mean, Michael Bush's spot, I suppose, is up for grabs, but obviously JD Martinez in theory would grab that one. So Miguel Vargas is still lurking, but yeah. Any thoughts on Will Smith getting hit by hitters? Like I say, if something keeps happening to you, then it might be a you problem, but what's your take on that?
Odd. It's just sporadic. It's just random occurrences. There's a reason why you haven't seen him react to much of any besides Marcell Ozuna. Yeah. I think it happens. It's just a random baseball occurrence that, but repeat offenders, Marcell Ozuna, kind of guys that you keep an eye out for, and they have a history. So I think that's just kind of a random thing. I mean, maybe he needs to, not keep his glove out there, but I think there's no batter's box for catchers. That doesn't exist. And then umpires couldn't care less that players are standing farther and farther back. Like if the back line is cleared out, they're not keeping them in order there. So random things. I think it's just, odd occurrences.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here's the question that I knew we were going to get at some point from Derek. Would the Dodgers be able to pick up anyone released by the Angels? It feels like the Angels are a disgruntled fantasy team owner. So let's say this about the Angels. What the Angels did sucks for baseball, and it makes perfect sense if you're the Angels. The Angels are not doing anything. They're not making the playoffs. It's a terrible organization, and whether or not they should have been buyers at the deadline or not, they were, and now they have no chance of making the playoffs. What the Angels did, though, by waiving all of these guys, is assuming like 1 or 2 of them gets claimed, which they probably all will get claimed. Then if that happens, the Angels dip below this tax, which means a few things. A, it resets the penalties. B, it saves them money. And C, it also makes it so that when Ohtani leaves at the end of the year, assuming he leaves, they get a better pick in exchange for it. If you go over the tax, then you have penalties included in that. So it makes sense from a business perspective for the Angels. What sucks is they put 4 really good players on waivers, and now whatever teams are fighting for the wild card spot and happen to be behind, towards the bottom of that list, are going to get a better chance of getting these guys. So all of that to say, to answer your question, Derek, Scott, I don't see any way any of these guys get to the Dodgers, because I think they're most, all these guys are valuable. Maybe not all of them, but the guys that matter, you've got the reliever, you've got the 2 starting pitchers, Giolito obviously being the headliner, the most famous name, but these guys are all getting claimed, unfortunately, before they get to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I would think so. It's perplexing.
Yeah.
Like the order of, for the waivers this year, it's odd stuff. I'd have to really key in on how it'll go. But for any of these guys, considering how many teams are now, left in the hunt, contract value or contract money attached to them at this point of the season is nothing. Like any team in the hunt should take a flyer on anybody. If you have the 40-man roster spot, if you're able to get somebody out, bring them in, there's a couple guys in here, like besides it's, Matt Moore, Renato Lopez, and even, who else was it? Had one more reliever. I forgot. Oh, Dominic Leone. Like there's quality there besides, Randall Grichuk and Hunter Renfroe, Lucas Giolito, besides the obvious, but I'd love Matt Moore. I think that's something the Dodgers would desperately need, a lefty that I could actually, hang a hat on and say like, he's someone who come and have an immediate impact. But I don't think the Dodgers will have, if anything, Matt Moore, that's like a shot in the dark for me. But if I find value in it as a Dodgers fan and they could need him, every other team could.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about waivers that's hilarious is that obviously it's based on after tonight where your record stands. So the Dodgers are like 3rd to last. But the teams at the bottom can put in a claim for as many players as they want. Like it's not like once you get one player, you drop to the bottom of the list. So the A's could put claims on all these guys. And there's like Mike Clevenger is on waivers. Carlos Carrasco is on waivers. Harrison Bader of the Yankees is on waivers. Like there's a bunch of random guys. Again, I believe Josh Donaldson is going to go on waivers as well. There's just dudes everywhere. So it's just a very bizarre scenario, and it'll be really interesting to see how this thing plays out tomorrow. But yes, again, to summarize, unfortunately for the Dodgers, I can't imagine any of them. I mean, you mentioned Moore, a lefty reliever. Like, how's that sound for something the Dodgers could use? There's no way it's going to get to them, but man, that would be something. Yeah. Robert asks, out of the whole waiver wire sale, who would be the most impactful for the team, negative or positive? I mean, Moore, again, lefty, 40 relief appearances, 2.30 ERA. That's something. Let me ask you this. Would you rather have Moore or Giolito?
I mean, Giolito.
Okay.
Yeah.
Starter.
Big upside there. Guy's got ace quality stuff. It just hasn't panned out for him. Dodgers can have shown that they can fix everybody except for, Noah Syndergaard, who thinks that the Dodgers broke him. So I would take Lucas Giolito, absolutely, but he's a Cincinnati Red.
Yeah.
Or anyone around that, wild card slot.
Yeah. Yeah. Duff Time wants to know who's starting tomorrow and where is Yarbrough. I believe it's Ryan Pepiot. Well, excuse me. Ryan Pepiot expected to be the bulk guy tomorrow. Whether or not he starts, unlikely, I guess, based on the way that they've used him. Maybe it's Caleb Ferguson in the first inning. That seems to be kind of who they've gone with in that spot. And then maybe it's Pepiot and then Yarbrough after. But to answer your question, it was Ryan Pepiot tomorrow. Let's see. More questions here. Here we go. We got a food one for you, Scott. Scott, favorite food spot near CSUN? You're a CSUN guy. You got a favorite local food spot over there?
I don't really. No, man. I didn't really. Yeah, I would go to class and head out.
Wow.
I didn't really linger around there. Yeah, that was it.
Thunderpants, why is Trinan pitching in AAA, but the Dodgers keep saying he's a ways off from coming back? This one makes no sense to me. He wasn't good tonight, but I'm with you. Like a month left in the season, he's pitching at AAA already, and the Dodgers saying he's unlikely to impact. Do you have any thoughts or insight into what's going on there?
I mean, if he's healthy, then why not? Like, if they don't believe like his arm's going to blow up or his shoulder, it's his shoulder. If he's at no risk of injury and he's, pitched through, pitching at the ACL, which is, out in Arizona. So I think that I don't find any problem with him pitching in AAA. It's definitely a huge step up. Find what he has. He needs to get tossed back into it. He's a veteran. I know he doesn't want to just stay out in Arizona pitching meaningless stuff. He wants to kind of be pressured and find out what he still has left in the tank this year. I know his velocity wasn't anything to, really highlight, but you have to remember he's still working a way back. And if there's any light and they catch lightning in a bottle at all with him and he feels good, he's able to find it. I don't think the Dodgers would shy away from it, but that's also them giving pause that they have no idea what he still has left. So in the final line kind of showed that.
Okay. A couple more questions here. We'll put Scott on the spot here. Win prediction for the Braves series, 4 games against the Braves starting Thursday. Obviously they still got one more against the Diamondbacks tomorrow, but 4 games against the Braves. How many wins do the Dodgers come away with?
I know that they pushed Strider back to face the Dodgers. So that's a big thing for them. They're not taking this series lightly, and I don't think the Dodgers are either.
And to be fair, the Dodgers by putting Pepiot tomorrow actually bumped Lance Lynn back and Julio Urias. Urias was going to pitch either way, but you get an extra day of rest for both of those guys. So, Lance Lynn is not Spencer Strider, but the Dodgers did sort of the same thing.
I'm going to say Dodgers win 3 of those. I really like I like the Dodgers. I like where their offense is at playing right now. I think that they're able to not striking out as much, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Strider goes out there and, strikes out 10 guys and it gives them fits. But I think the offense is playing at such a, hot spot that I'd put them up against anybody. And especially Strider not having, the type of year he was last year. I think the Dodgers at bat quality there and their platoon guys playing like this. For me, the only guy they're really going to struggle against possibly is Max Fried. So I like the Dodgers. I think they're getting 3 righties there. I think it's Elder, Strider, and then Morton on Sunday. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think 3 games there. I feel like the Dodgers have a real plus advantage. But it's gonna be offense, man. It's gonna come down to who's able to break through.
Yep. Strider, Fried, Elder, and Morton are the 4 going for the Braves. And then again, it's Lynn, Urias, Miller, and Kershaw, I believe, is the tentative plan for the Dodgers. I'll put you on the spot with 2 more questions here, Scott. Who's your NL MVP? Who takes it home? I'm not saying who do you want to win it. That's an easy question. But do you think Mookie Betts gets it done and wins the award?
Yeah, I do. I really think that Mookie is playing at a spot right now where, if you take a quick look, I know people won't really look at F4 or whichever, but Mookie's doing it in a way that he's had such an insane month of August.
It's a sizable gap.
It's a sizable gap right now. And you asked Blake, where's Blake? I want him to explain this real bad because he's as fired up as I am. Like, if we can take, 2 minutes, Blake, stop what you're doing, man. Hop on and explain how there are arguably, like you said, 3 rules to help out stolen bases this year. And it's not taking anything away from Ronald Acuna. He's right now the best base stealer in the league, and we've seen in quite some time. But capitalizing on that doesn't push him over the edge on Mookie Betts for me. Mookie's doing it in such a way that there's an absolute crazy gap with what he's doing with pure slug. Like Mookie Betts, that's like me going up there and slugging 606, and it might have went up today. So it's just insane. There's such a gap.
Even if you say it's a push offensively between these two guys because Acuna's got a better average on base and Mookie's got more home runs, Acuna's got more steals, whatever. Like, even if you just net that neutral, which again, Mookie Betts in most of those categories is ahead slightly. Even if you do that, to your point, comparing base running to what Mookie Betts is doing defensively, when Mookie Betts is an above average base runner and Acuna is a below average defender, Mookie is an elite defender. And, so you just map it all out. Mookie's doing it at 3 different positions. That's the part to me. I mean, Fangraphs has a base running above average, basically, like wins above replacement. It's base running above average. Acuna is 9th on that list. Freddie Freeman's 17th. So, like Mookie, I believe in the all of baseball is 31 coming into tonight. So my point is, like, the stolen base number looks really good. He also leads Major League Baseball in caught stealing, for what it's worth. When you're talking about Baseball Savant has a base running sort of metric that they're testing out that measures like a guy's ability to grab extra bases on the base paths. Acuna is one of the worst in baseball in that category. One of the worst in all, like 300 something ranked in that category as far as taking extra bases and moving up. So, I mean, you just factor all this stuff in. I hate that the MVP conversation feels like you have to crap on one guy. My point is, like, the one metric that Acuna is better than Mookie Betts at is stolen bases. And to your point, to the point that you're saying Blake has been making, that metric does not matter nearly as much as everybody's making out to be. They're talking about, oh my gosh, we've never had a 30-60 guy. Well, guess what? They've made everything about stealing bases easier than it has historically ever been because of this. And so I just think it all has to be taken with a grain of salt. Let me get one last question here, and this will be the one that closes out because I think it's a funny one. Derek asks, Scott, if you had to choose, you get to see one of these things. Acuna gets caught stealing every single time he tries to steal, or Mookie Betts hits 2 home runs against the Braves. Which one would you choose?
How many times is he getting caught stealing?
Let's say 3.
3 total?
3 total.
I'll take Mookie homers because even his steals, even Ronald Acuna's steals haven't, like, look how many runs he scored. Even him doing all that hasn't amounted to as many runs. It's like, I think Mookie's within like 10 runs of Ronald Acuna. So, like, even him stealing all those bags, where you at? Like, what you did bombs? That's at least counting for more runs. And that's Mookie hit a career high tonight, man. Shout out to Mookster, man.
Shout him out. Loves baseball, grinds. The best. And 2 home runs is the easy answer there because that means the Dodgers are scoring runs. And that's going to be, I mean, it's going to be a headline. And whether you like it or not, whether we like it or not, how these 4 games play out is going to go a long way towards the narrative surrounding the MVP. Mookie Betts going to Boston and having a monster series helped. That was a big national series, a national story. And every time they talked about Mookie returning, it was, oh, by the way, he had 2 home runs in a 3-game set, So if Mookie Betts does something like that again at Dodger Stadium and the Dodgers take 2 or 3 out of 4 against the Braves, all of a sudden it's going to be good stuff for Mookie, and the narrative train, Scott, is going to start rolling along. So
just like we said, man, like we didn't, like the national media, like we didn't, Dodgers fans didn't need to push it. Mookie's done it himself. National media has picked up on it because the numbers are speaking for themselves. He's not just doing it, in a subtle way, or it's, West Coast bias. Mookie's storming it. He's playing his way right into an MVP award. So
if you just blind looked at the 2 box scores of these guys' numbers, again, wins above replacement is a stat that's not perfect. It's created to take the totality of a player. Mookie Betts coming into tonight, 7.2 to 6.6. Acuna wasn't even second in that category. Freddie Freeman is actually ahead of Acuna in the National League at 6.7. So there's a 0.6 wins above replacement gap between those two, which is not nothing. That's a pretty substantial gap when you factor in a statistic like that. So something to keep an eye on. So, hey, everybody, we appreciate you joining us again. As always, Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 9-1, their 23rd victory in the month of August. A couple games to go. They've got one more against the Diamondbacks. Pepio going to take some bulk innings for the Dodgers. And then Thursday, 4-game set against the Braves kick off. A couple announcements. First of all, we do these series previews. They've been on Fridays with Jeff Erickson of RotoWire. That's going to be Thursday morning. So make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell on YouTube to get access to that. And then secondly, we normally do post games on Friday. Because of the big 4-game set, game 1, we're going to do it Thursday night. So if you're joining us for these post-game shows, we appreciate it. Stay tuned for that on Thursday night. We'd love to have you join us for that. That is Scott Geirman. My name is Jeff Spiegel. Again, 16 hits, 9 runs for the Dodgers offense. Clayton Kershaw tied for second in wins in franchise history. A great night all around for the Dodgers. So enjoy the rest of your night, folks. And as always, go Dodgers.